Chapters 16 and 17, Raymie Nightingale. Here are some questions. What caused Raymie to feel her soul whoosh away into nothingness? Why does Raymie need Beverly's help? Draw a conclusion about the bruise on Beverly's face. How did Louisiana react when Ida Nee hit Beverly with her baton? And how did Beverly react to Louisiana defending her? Chapter 16. "Take my hand," shouted Alice Nebley as Raymie walked down the hallway. Raymie stopped. She listened. She flexed her toes and then started walking again. She followed the sound of Alice's voice. Raymie needed to do a good deed. Plus, she needed to make up for the bad deed she had just done. That meant she had to do the bravest, best deed she could think of, the deed she least wanted to do. She had to go into Alice Nebley's room and ask her if she wanted to be read to. It was a terrifying prospect. Raymie looked down at her feet. She made herself put one foot in front of the other. She concentrated on Alice's voice. The voice led her to a door with the number 323 on it, and under the number was a white card. Alice Nebley was written on the card in black ink. The letters of the name were shaky and uncertain, like maybe Alice Nebley had written them herself. Raymie flexed her toes. She knocked. And when no one answered, Raymie took a deep breath. She grabbed the doorknob and turned it, then stepped inside. The room was dark, but Raymie could see that someone was in the bed. "Mrs. Nebley?" whispered Raymie. There was no answer. Raymie stepped farther into the room. "Mrs. Nebley?" she asked again, a bit louder this time. She could hear whoever was in the bed breathing in a raspy, strangled kind of way. Said Raymie, "I'm here to do a good deed. Would you like to hear about a bright and shining path and, Florence Nightingale, Mrs. Nebley?" "Ah!" screamed Alice Nebley. It was the most terrifying noise Raymie had ever heard in her life. The sound of pure pain, pure need. Alice Nebley's scream pierced something inside of Raymie. She felt her soul whoosh away into nothingness. "I cannot," shouted Alice Nebley. "Give me—" A hand rose out of the covers. It was reaching for something. It was reaching for her, Raymie Clark. Raymie jumped, and a bright and shining path, the life of Florence Nightingale, leaped out of her hands and flew into the air and skittered under Alice Nebley's bed. Raymie screamed. Alice Nebley screamed back. "Ah! I cannot bear the pain. Take my hand." Her hand was still extended, reaching out of the covers, searching. Please take my hand." Raymie Clark turned and ran. Raymie stood for a long time on the sidewalk in front of the Golden Glen, flexing her toes and isolating her objectives. She had to get the book back. That was her one true objective right now. It was a library book. Edward Option would be very disappointed in her if she didn't return it. She hadn't even read it. That would disappoint him too, and there would be fines, overdue fines. What if she had to pay for the book? But she couldn't go back into Alice Nebley's room. She truly didn't know if she was brave enough to ever enter the Golden Glen again. She thought about Isabel's X-ray eyes. She thought about Alice Nebley's hand. She thought about the gigantic seabirds that snatched babies from their mother's arms. Then she heard Beverly Topinski's voice. "Fear is a big waste of time. I'm not afraid of anything." Beverly Topinski and her pocket knife. Beverly, who was afraid of nothing. Raymie knew suddenly what her objective was. She would find Beverly and ask her to help get Florence Nightingale back. Chapter 17. Finding Beverly Topinski turned out to be surprisingly easy. When Raymie got to baton twirling lessons the next afternoon, Beverly was standing under the pine trees, chewing gum and staring straight ahead. "I thought you weren't coming back," said Raymie. Beverly said nothing. "I'm glad you came back." Beverly turned and looked at her. There was a bruise on her face, under her left eye. "What happened to your face?" asked Raymie. "Nothing happened to my face," said Beverly. She chewed her gum and looked right at Raymie. Beverly's eyes were blue. They weren't the same blue as Isabel's. They were darker, deeper, but they had the same effect as Isabel's eyes. Raymie felt as if they could see right through her, inside of her. She stared back at Beverly and started trying to rearrange her soul, working to make it invisible. And then Louisiana Elefante showed up. She had on the same pink dress from the day before, but today she was wearing barrettes, 6 of them. The barrettes were scattered randomly throughout Louisiana's limp blonde hair. All of the barrettes were identical, made of pink, shiny plastic with little white bunnies painted on them. The bunnies looked like ghost bunnies. "I'm not going to faint today," said Louisiana. "Good news," said Beverly. "Got yourself some bunny barrettes, huh?" "These are my good luck bunnies. I forgot to wear them yesterday, and look what happened. I'm never going to remove them from my head again." "What's on your face?" "Nothing's on my face," said Beverly. At this point, Idahnee came marching toward them, her white boots glowing and her baton flashing. She had on a spangled top that sparkled like fish scales. Her hair was very yellow. She looked like a mermaid in a bad mood. "Here we go," said Beverly. "Stand at attention," shouted Idahnee. "Stand up straight. This is the first rule of baton twirling, to stand as if you value yourself and your place in the world." Raymie tried to stand up straight. "Shoulders back, chin up, batons out in front of you," said Idahnee, "and we will begin." She raised her baton, and then she lowered it. She looked at Beverly. "Topinski," she said, "are you chewing gum?" "No." Idahnee lunged toward Beverly. Her baton flashed brilliantly, violently in the afternoon sun. And then, unbelievably, the baton landed on Beverly's head, where it kind of bounced because of the rubber tip. Louisiana gasped. "Don't lie to me," said Idahnee. "Never lie to me. Spit it out." "No," said Beverly. "What?" said Idahnee. "No," said Beverly again. "Oh, my goodness," said Louisiana. She put her arm on Raymie's arm, her hand on Raymie's arm. "Here I am wearing my lucky bunny barrettes, but I am still thinking that I might faint." Raymie thought that she might faint too, even though she had never fainted before and had no idea what almost fainting felt like. Louisiana held on to her arm, and Raymie held on to what? She didn't know. She held on to the fact that Louisiana was holding on to her, she supposed. Idahnee raised the baton to hit Beverly again. Louisiana took her hand off of Raymie's arm and let out a strange noise, something between a scream and a squeak. And then she lunged forward and grabbed hold of Idahnee's spangled midsection. "Stop it!" shouted Louisiana. "You stop it!" "What in the world?" said Idahnee. "Unhand me." She tried to peel Louisiana off of her, but Louisiana held tight. "Don't hit her again," said Louisiana. "Please don't." Lake Clara glittered. The pine trees swayed, the world sighed and creaked, and Louisiana clung to Idahnee as if she would never, ever let her go. "Don't hit her! Don't hit her!" Louisiana chanted. "Don't be stupid," said Beverly. This seemed like good advice, but Raymie wasn't sure exactly whom it was intended for. "Please don't hurt her," said Louisiana. She was crying now. "Get off me," said Idahnee, pushing at Louisiana. "Look," said Beverly, "I'm spitting out the gum." She spit out the gum. "See," she said, "no one's going to hurt me. It's impossible to hurt me." She put down her baton and held up her hands. "Come here," she said, "it's fine." And she pulled Louisiana off of Idahnee. She patted Louisiana on the back. "See," said Beverly again, "it's all fine. I'm fine." Idahnee blinked. She looked confused. "This is nonsense," she said, "and you know how I feel about nonsense." She took a deep breath and marched away back toward the house. That was the end of the second baton twirling lesson.